Obviously, I think Hamas is under a lot of pressure, and they would like nothing more than a timeout, just to rearm, regroup, and prepare for the next round. And that's not the sort of ceasefire Israel will agree to. We've said from the very beginning, we want a sustainable ceasefire. We don't want a Band-Aid that's just going to blow up in everyone's face a month from now or 2 months from now. So we're talking about two principles. We want it to be understood that the quiet to be achieved will last for an indefinite period of time, that it will be durable, that the people of southern Israel don't have to live any more in fear of an incoming Hamas rocket launched from Gaza. And secondly, we want there to be mechanisms on the ground to prevent Hamas from using this just as a period to rearm. If more Iranian rockets just come to the Gaza Strip, so we'll be back to square one very, very quickly. That's in no one's interest. We have to make sure that the ceasefire is accompanied by working mechanisms that simply prevent Hamas from rearming with more Iranian rockets.
Do you accept, though, that some form of temporary ceasefire may be required to actually sit down and discuss those points?
I think we have to have understandings, and I know we'll be talking with the Egyptians possibly as soon as tomorrow. Ultimately, Israel wants a solution sooner rather than later, but it has to be a real solution. It has to bring serious, long-term quiet, which both the people of southern Israel want and the people of Gaza deserve. Now, it's not clear. Hamas had all these demands, which are unacceptable, I think, to everybody. Now, they're under pressure, so they're hinting maybe that they're willing to capitulate. We'll have to wait and see.
Do you accept, though, the world is in shock? It's looking at numbers, 1,000 people killed, a third of those women and children. These are massive numbers anywhere else, and the world would just be appalled. What is the next move for Israel, and do all people sort of stand behind the government on this action?
Well, yes, you do know, and you've reported, CNN reporters have reported that there is very strong wall-to-wall support in Israel for our action, precisely because this operation was preceded by months of restraint. Rockets were coming in, targeting our civilians, and we did not act militarily. And when we finally did, the people of southern Israel were actually very supportive and remain supportive of the government, as is the entire population.
But
now, we don't want to see
people?
Innocent civilians in...
Indeed, I mean, that is the question here. 1,000 people dead. How many more people have to die before Israel sees that it's achieved its goal here, or come close to it at least?
We don't want to see any innocent civilians caught up in the fighting. And we make every effort to make sure that that doesn't happen. Obviously, it is extremely difficult when you have Hamas deliberately adopting strategies, deliberately adopting tactics that put the civilian population in danger, when they shoot out of private homes, when they use mosques as weapon storage facilities, when they dig tunnels under houses, when they booby-trap schools. We've released video, which I believe has been broadcast on CNN, where you shoot them using schools for launching rockets, where they booby-trap schools with explosives. I wouldn't be surprised at all, and this has to be checked out, that a large part of the civilian casualties are a result of Hamas fire and Hamas explosions. Sometimes you see even a situation where we fire ordnance from one of our aircraft and the explosion is totally out of proportion to the ordnance we've used. It's clear we've hit a Hamas weapons facility. Hamas, if they're storing explosives in civilian areas, surely it's their responsibility for the damage that their explosives cause.
So how much longer do you think this will continue?
My Prime Minister said on Sunday that we're entering what we believe is the end game. We could be very close. It depends on a number of factors. Hopefully we'll know more tomorrow when we're in Egypt, I believe.